morning, good afternoon, good evening. This has been circulating on the social media and it has generated a lot of interest. The ED2030 agenda, and it says, isn't a decision of the Zimbabweans, but of Chinese to extend time to sweep clean Zimbabwe minerals. Senior government officials were bought to be a shield while China loots. There's no doubt that many Zimbabweans out there would swallow this as gospel truth. But what I would like every Zimbabwean out there to think about is something slightly different. What if ED2030 agenda is to make ED the fall guy, as Mugabe was the fall guy in 2017, just to draw attention away from the ZANU-PF of dictatorship itself? China does not care which Zimbabwean dictator rules, as long as they have the license to loot. That is the reality that people of Zimbabwe must realize. In 2017, people were so focused on Mugabe must go. They failed to realize or to think who was going to replace him. They celebrated the military coup, but what did it accomplish? All it did was remove one dictator and replace him with another. To bring it back to the subject here, do you seriously think China cared? Of course not. They had fallen out of the Mugabe, and they may even have been behind his demise. It suited them. China does not care which dictator rules Zimbabwe, as long as they retain their license to loot. This whole ED2030 agenda has made some people focus on that and forget that if the elections in 2028 were rigged and ZANU-PF was retained, whether it is Mnangagwa or Chiwenga or Tagwirei or any of the other ZANU-PF thugs who becomes president is irrelevant. We will still have a dictatorship, and that dictatorship would continue to loot the nation's wealth. And some of the partners in that looting will remain. We should not be obsessed about this ED2030 agenda, because it is a diversion from the economic challenges that we are facing. The people of Zimbabwe must wake up to the reality that, to start with, ED has said himself he's not interested in extending his stay in power. He is a constitutionalist. Yes, I agree that he may change his mind and turn around and say, well, I've been persuaded by the people who want me to stay and stay on. On the other hand, he may drop this whole thing as a hot potato when it suits him and ZANU-PF. What this whole agenda, ED2030 agenda, has done very successfully is that it was introduced soon after the 2023 elections. We should not forget the 2023 elections. Mnangagwa blatantly rigged those elections. SADC, the AU, and all the respectable election observers condemned those elections as flawed and illegal. That made Mnangagwa and the regime illegitimate. That is the reality. But what did Mnangagwa do? He introduced this ED2030 agenda. That took the heat, sucked the oxygen out of all those who were highlighting the fact that ZANU-PF had rigged these elections. People were so drawn from that, and they were focused on, we cannot let Mnangagwa stay on until 2030. Forgetting that he is illegitimate even now. That worked very well. And ever since the parties, ZANU-PF, has sustained this ED2030 agenda, and they've made all the other ZANU-PF candidates look good, because the people are now so focused on Mnangagwa must not stay beyond 2028 that any other ZANU-PF candidate being elected in 2028 will be seen as acceptable. History repeats itself, and those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. The issue here is not whether or not ED stays beyond 2028. Forget that. That is not important. The most important issue here is that ZANU-PF does not win the 2028 elections, or at least does not rig the 2028 elections and get away with it. Because if they rig the 2028 elections, they will easily get away with Mnangagwa staying on until 2030. But if they rig the 2028 elections and they don't get away with it, there will not be a ZANU-PF dictator beyond 2028. And that should be what the people should be aiming for. think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.